Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the call. We're just admitting people into the session, so please give us a few moments as we do that. Okay, thank you for the reaction. Ivana, could you just keep an eye on as people come so you can admit them in, and then we'll start right off. Okay, hello everyone and welcome to today's session. My name is Ibukon Adewale and I'm the Social Impact Lead at the Petro-Canada CareMakers Foundation. I'm joining you from Calgary this morning, and with me on the call is the Executive Director of the Foundation, Leila Fance, whom you'll be hearing from shortly, and my colleague, Ivana Brokovich. It's always an exciting session when we get to have everyone together. Personally, I like these sessions because I get to share the work that we're doing and how we can collaborate to support Canadian family caregivers through our grants. So today we'll walk you through the funding opportunities available, and more importantly, we hope that we can set you up for success. So whether it's your first time applying for a grant or you've done this before, our goal basically is to make sure that the process is very clear. So before we get started, I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the people of Treaty 7, which includes the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprising of the Siksika, the Piikani, the Kainai First Nations, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, and the Stoney Nakoda, which includes Chiniki, Biespo, and Goodstoney First Nation. Calgary is also home to Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. Please take a moment to reflect on the land you're on today. So we'll start with a quick look at what we're going to be covering in today's session. First, we'll provide you with a brief overview of what the foundation does, and then we'll dive into our 2025 grant opportunities, and then we'll walk you through our application process. We've also pulled together some of the most frequently asked questions we receive, and we'll go over those towards the end of the session. If questions come up along the way, feel free to drop them in the Q&A button right at the top of your screen. And we hope to spend some time answering as many questions as we can at the end. And before we jump into the main content, a couple of quick housekeeping notes. All microphones and videos are turned off to minimize disruptions. Please use the Q&A feature for any questions or technical issues. We're going to be recording this session so it can be shared with those who are unable to join and for anyone who would like to go back to review the content later. This session is being delivered in English, but you have the option to turn on closed captioning for other languages. We also plan to make a version of the recording available with official French translations. So I'd like to pass it to Leila, the Executive Director of the Foundation, to talk us through what we're all about. Leila, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Ibukon. I'm so excited. I'm watching Ivana just trying to admit everybody who's coming into the session. I'm really excited to see we have, I think, over 200 people participating in the call today, which is really wonderful news. And I think it's wonderful that the word of the Petro-Canada CareMakers Foundation is starting to get out there as hopefully a significant funder of the issue of family caregiving in Canada. I'm not going to spend too much time today. I'm really excited to share also that it is our 5th anniversary. It's hard to believe that we launched about 5 years ago now, just the glimmer in the eye of Petro-Canada, as I knew that they wanted to make more of a significant impact around a specific social cause. And this is something that we chose because it's so relevant across all of Canada, across all different types of demographic groups. So it's something that's really universal. We know that 1 in 4 Canadians are family caregivers right now. So it's something that we really felt that we wanted to take on. It's a big issue, but with all of your help and the great work you're doing on the front lines, we're really excited to try to move the bar on this. I'm not going to spend too much time about the foundation specifically. Luckily, we've created a little video which tells the story of the foundation and what we're trying to work on. So you'll have the opportunity to watch the video as opposed to listening to me talk. But I'm really thankful as well to Ibukon, who is our social impact lead, for putting together this session. She is your primary contact for everything that is grant related. And I'm really happy to share as well that since we launched 5 years ago, we've been able to grant over $10 million to organizations like yourselves who are, on, as I mentioned, on the front line supporting family caregivers. We just want people to get the word out there that we have this funding available, that this is the issue that we're shouldering with your help. And we're hoping to grow over time. You know, when I interviewed for the job, I shared with the people who hired me what I thought we could achieve as an organization. I'm not going to give you a number, but we certainly have a target to be able to grow our impact, both in terms of the funding that we offer, the organizations that we engage with, and how we're managing to raise awareness of this critical issue of family caregiving. We do that through a number of different ways. We do a number of mass marketing campaigns that specifically focus on family caregiving so that people can start to see the relevance to their own lives. And then we convene with experts in the field to try to move the bar on some thought leadership and innovative thinking. And that's through the participation of some of the people on this call. So with that, I'm going to stop talking and be quiet. I will join the entire session, and I'll hand it back to Ibakon to share the story of our foundation.
Thanks, Leila. And with that, I will hit play. So like Leila mentioned, it's our 5th year and we're really proud of the progress that we have made till date. So as we saw in that video, one of our key pillars is giving grants to registered Canadian charities who are supporting family caregivers. And charities can apply for funding under two of our grant streams. I'll start with the national grant stream. Our national grants are available to organizations who are delivering projects or initiatives with broader impact, often nationwide, region-wide, or province-wide. And it's usually open to organizations with a national reach. And for this grant, one of the things we hope to support are initiatives or programs that alleviate the systemic challenges faced by family caregivers across the country. We're looking at things around thought leadership and research programs that illuminates these challenges. We're also looking at initiatives that bring about innovative solutions for family caregivers. And under this stream, we also support the creation of tools or resources for family caregivers. So for an example, we know a lot of family caregivers struggle with navigating the healthcare system. So how have we tried to mitigate these challenges for family caregivers? One way we did that was to support Baker's Foundation to develop a C-card tool by helping caregivers have an online caregiver self-assessment and system navigation tool. And if you go on our website, you'll find a list of organizations that we have supported. And for the national grants, you would find short briefs on the grants that they have received, on the funding they have received from us. For the national grants, organizations can apply for up to 300,000 per organization in a given year. So this year, the portal is going to open on Friday, May 30th for 6 weeks, and it will close on Friday, July 11. We'll notify you of the outcome of your application in November. And for the local grants, these grants are available to organizations who are delivering projects or initiatives with direct impact at the community level. For this grant stream, we hope to support educational programs for family caregivers, things like transportation, meal assistance, respite care, community support, and we also provide funding to cover things like operational costs under this grant stream. Our local grants are a fixed sum of 7,500 per organization in a given year. And this year, we've extended the application period from 5 weeks to 6 weeks, which I know a lot of you will be happy about. And the portal is going to open on Friday, September 5th, and it will close on Friday, October 17th. We'll notify you of the outcome of the application in February of 2026. In terms of eligibility, our grants are open to registered Canadian charities. Who are primarily working to support family caregivers as central to their mission, and that they have the capacity to develop work that is applicable and relevant to a wide section of care partners across the country. Um, what is not eligible under our grant streams, we are unable to consider applications for advertising, for professional sport groups or teams, for endowment funds, for fundraising campaigns or events, or sponsorship of events. We are also unable to provide funding for religious purposes except secular programs, and we're unable to support specific individuals or a caregiver or family member. So to access the portal, you need to visit our website, caremakers.ca/grants-funding. So if you just go to caremakers.ca, I've just put a screenshot for you to see. And then if you go to grants and funding section, you'll be able to access our grant streams. Here you'll find more information about each grant stream. And right now, if you go on that side, the apply button is currently not live. So you have to wait until May 30 to be able to see application open. So right now, what you would see would be application portal now closed. So for the national grant, it would be available from 30th of May. And for the local grant, it will be available from the 5th of September. Now, after you click the application open button, it will take you to the applicable grant stream. And that is done or being managed by Benevity. So you'll see a Benevity form, which is what you see at the bottom of the application portal now closed. And these are screenshots, so the screen won't look exactly like this. I've just tried to put different screenshots to walk you through the process. So there are seven sections you have to complete. These red broken lines are the different sections. So you can always move through each section to be able to view the application form. All questions are mandatory unless where we state otherwise. So first we start by asking you about eligibility, and then we ask for the details of the primary contact at your organization. And then the next section will ask for details about your organization, your mission, and what you try to achieve. And then we ask you more questions about how your organization is supporting family caregivers. And I'd just like to call out that this is always a very important section for us because we rely on that information to understand how you're supporting this group of people. We also ask you some pointed questions about the initiative you're requesting funds for. And then after that, there's another section where you can provide detailed information about the initiative. And then the next section after that, you're able to provide us with some feedback on the application process. And the last tab allows you to submit your application. So I think it's a pretty straightforward application form. Um, and based on the feedback that we often get, people tell us that it's actually a smooth process. So this is just what I just described again in the previous slide. So you can use the red broken lines to move across each section to see. And also you can collaborate with your team to complete the application form at the same time. So I'll walk you through our grant review process. For the national grants application, we conduct a thorough review of each submission, and this includes looking at the organization's background, your mission, and the potential impact of the proposed initiative. We also conduct interviews with applicants to clarify certain aspects of their proposals and to gain a deeper understanding of the initiative that they have put forward. And based on all of this, we collate our findings, and we make a recommendation to our board. And because this is a competitive process, we also consider factors like the total number of applications we receive, our available budget for the given year, and the geographic distribution of our funding. The local grants, on the other hand, is managed by our local grant advisory council. And for these grants, we take into consideration things around your support to family caregivers, the proposed program or project, and its impact on family caregivers. So for this one, for this section, I'll just close by saying that we recognize that this is not a one size fits all. It's not a strictly linear process, and we try to take a holistic approach when we're reviewing this application so that we can make a good funding decision. So for reporting, we aim to strike a balance between accountability and being flexible. So while we are not very strict with our reporting guidelines, we provide some criteria or things that we're looking for to our grantees. So for national grants, we ask for 2 reports, a mid-grant report and an end-of-grant report. And for local grants, we ask for a single end-of-grant report at the end of the period. And what we are looking for in these are just basically insights. So not just numbers, but we're looking for reports that can provide us insights. And we look at things around, outcomes and the impact of the program, the reach, who you served and how you served them, the challenges you experienced and any learnings. We rely on you to share quotes and testimonials with us. We also ask for high resolution images where applicable, and any data or results, even if some of these becomes available after the funding period has ended. So we view reporting not just as a compliance exercise, but a way to learn and grow. So next, we'd like to share a short video that brings the impact of our grants to life. Each year, we partner with 3 of our grant recipients to help tell the story of a family caregiver by highlighting not just their journey, but how your organization is actually making a real difference in their lives. And I think these stories remind us of why this work matters. It gives a face and a voice to family caregivers, and it shows the meaningful outcomes that your programs help make possible. And with that, I'm just going to hit play. So we've produced about 9 of these videos just showing how we're supporting family caregivers and how we're also collaborating with the different organizations. And as I speak, we're currently in the middle of filming the next round. So we'll be launching some more videos very soon, and they're all available on our YouTube channel. So please check them out. Okay, so I think for the next slide, I wanted to provide some application tips, just based on what we see every year and some of the questions that we get. So I'll start by encouraging organizations or the applicants to please carefully review the grant guidelines to ensure you meet all requirements and that you're applying for the right grant stream. Just to reiterate again, we have 2, national and local. So based on your initiative, we encourage that you apply for the one that is most applicable. Also, we ask that you clearly articulate your responses to the question, avoid using jargons, and write out acronyms in full. We also ask that you kindly provide answers to all questions in the application form, except where we state so, all questions are mandatory. We also ask, especially for the national grants, that you provide the required documents. So you get a section where you have to upload documents. We ask that you provide all of the documents that are required. We also ask that you clearly highlight how you're supporting family caregivers. And one of the things that we have seen when we get applications is that sometimes people refer to routine parenting as family caregiving. But for the purposes of our grant, we do intend to support individuals who are providing care to family members or loved ones who have chronic illness, a disability, or age-related needs. Excuse me. We also ask that you highlight unique aspects of your work that sets you apart from others, just because from what we've seen, it's gotten really competitive over the years. And for the local grants, we ask or we recommend that you ensure you have an active profile with Benevity and that your organization is set up to receive payment via Benevity. And we ask for this so that we can avoid any delays with our grant payments. Our local grants are paid through Benevity. So with an active profile, you get the funding at the right time. Excuse me, please. So we've also put together some frequently asked questions just based on what we see every year and the questions that we are asked. So I'll go over those quickly and then we'll just be moving into the Q&A section, which I think is what a lot of people would want us to go through. So the first question is, my colleague who submitted an application has moved on. Is there a way to retrieve the application that was submitted? Yes, you can just send us an email and then we can provide you with the application. Can we apply for a multi-year grant? Our grants are single-year grants, so we're unable to provide multi-year grants. Having said that, we've received applications from organizations who are requesting for a single-year grant for a multi-year project. So if you're putting in an application that's similar to that, please take into consideration sustainability of future funding, just because funding from us is not guaranteed in the second year. For the third question that I think we receive frequently is, we received a grant last year and currently implementing our program this year. Would we be eligible to apply for this grant, the next round of grants? Yes, you can apply again. The funding was received last year and implementation is this year. So if you were going to get a funding in 2025, it will be used against 2026. We're a nonprofit organization that supports family caregivers. Can we apply for a grant? We usually support only registered Canadian charities. Having said that, we also recommend that you can partner with a registered Canadian charity to apply for the grant. So the organization that will be putting forward the application will be the registered charity, and would ask you some more questions during the application process. So we do not discourage nonprofits from applying. They just need to apply in collaboration with a registered Canadian charity. We've just missed the deadline. Can we still apply? Our deadlines are very firm, so we're unable to take applications outside the application period. So we ask that you kindly take note of the submission deadline and, if possible, try and apply early so that you avoid any last-minute technical challenges. Another question we get frequently is, how many grants will you be awarding this year? We're unable to say right now, but what we have seen over the years is our grants have been increasing. So last year we did 21 under the national grants, and the previous year we did 17. The year before that we did 12. So you can see that every year it keeps going up. So we encourage you to apply for the one that you think is most suitable. And my colleague Uli, who is not on this call, she's our lead fundraiser. She does a lot to try to bring in as much money. So we'll see how that goes again this year. Can we submit more than one application under a grant stream? In order to ensure a fair process, we kindly ask that you apply only one application under the grant stream that you're applying for. So if you are applying for a national grant, please just submit one application per organization. Can we apply for grants under both the national and local grant stream? Yes, you can, because we noticed that there is an overlap during the application period. So some organizations may have applied for the national grants, but haven't heard back from us. So in order not to lose on the opportunity of getting a local grant, you can still put in an application. The local grant application is very simplified, so you can also put in an application for both. However, we're only able to award you a grant under one of the national grant stream. So if you were to get an award on the national, then you wouldn't qualify for the local grants. And the final question we often hear is, if we don't hear back from you, can we conclude that our application was not successful? No, we usually communicate the outcome to everyone at the end of our review. So please stay tuned, you would hear from us. So in terms of contacts, you can send us an email at info@caremakers.ca with your grant-related questions, and we would endeavor to provide you with an answer as soon as we can. And if you're having any technical challenges, please reach out to grants@benevity.com. And our website is www.caremakers.ca. Please follow us on social. You'll see all our social handles at the bottom of our website. We're currently on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. X, and we're going to be launching very soon on LinkedIn, so stay tuned on that. And I think with that, I would hand over to Ivana to let us know the questions that have come in, and we will try to answer as many as we can.
Thank you, Eva Khan. We've received quite a few questions, which is great. Since the number of approved grants have increased, has the available granting funds also increased?
No, so we usually would give under the national grant is still 300, the ceiling is $300,000, and the local grant is fixed. It's just the number of awards that we give every year has gone up.
Awesome. Someone else has asked if we received a grant from us, the Petro-Canada CareMakers Foundation, can we still apply for a grant from Suncor, your parent company?
We're separate entities, so we don't our work does not overlap, so that's a separate request. We review it independent of what is sent to Suncor. I think Leila wants to provide some
Yeah, I'm
comments.
just going to jump in here. There are different opportunities to apply. That being said, the Suncor Energy Foundation is currently reviewing their granting, and sponsorship is a whole other kettle of fish. So if you choose to apply for funding from Suncor, please do that off the Suncor website. We won't be able to transfer your application over or anything like that. As Eva mentioned, we are a separate entity, so it's a completely separate process. So we focus entirely on family caregivers. Suncor focuses on other things, but we don't hand over applications from one to the other. So you will have to pursue your own opportunity with Suncor.
Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you, Leila. Another question, you mentioned educational programs under national grants eligibility. Does that include support or psychoeducation groups for caregivers?
So I think that was mentioned on the local grants, actually, non-national grants. Having said that, we'll have to review each applications to see the full details to be able to provide a response on that.
Great. For the national grant, do you have to be a national organization, or can it be that your project is national in scope?
So for the national grants, we review both. So either national in scope or in impact or your location. We take into consideration everything. I think the most important thing is how we're reaching family caregivers across the country. So as we look through the details of your application, we will be able to provide more guidance on that.
Great. Someone else asked, in the eligibility criteria, it says national projects should be applicable and relevant to a wide range of care partners across the country. Does that mean you are looking for projects that serve the needs of multiple caregivers groups, i.e. sick kids, as opposed to single disease-focused charities?
That's a very good question. We actually take into consideration everything because we know that family caregiving looks differently and each organization is tackling it in a different way. So we take into consideration all aspects of it.
Awesome. Someone else asked, we have applied previously and were not successful. Are we able to review the application with someone from the foundation to indicate why our application was not granted/approved?
Yeah, you can send us an email and we'll provide you with a response. What we've often seen is that each application is fantastic. It's just always oftentimes the limited pool of funds. If we had our way, we would support all the applications that came in because a lot of you are doing great work. You're supporting family caregivers. You tick all the boxes. But the challenge also is that we also have a limited pool of funds. But you can also send in your send us an email, and then we can look at your application and provide you with a response.
Awesome. And then just some general questions. If people are able to access this slide or the video recording of this info session after today.
Yes, we will make it available on our website. I think you would also get a notification automatically from Teams to let you know that the recording is available.
Awesome. Let me
Sorry, Ivana, just to
refresh.
also add on that, it would be available on our YouTube channel.
Awesome. Another question, how often do we support university-based research?
So we do get applications every year. We open our portal every year. So if they do apply and they meet all the criteria, they would get funding. So twice in a year, we have national grants, local grants, but once it's closed for that period, then they'll have to wait for the next year.
Awesome. And a couple questions about something I think you touched on. If we currently have an ongoing grant ending later this fall, can we apply for the national grant opening in May?
Yes, you can. We're looking forward to
Awesome.
receiving your application.
Another question, how does Petro-Canada CareMakers Foundation define a caregiver? Is that information on the website?
Yes, we have you on the website. Leila, do you want to provide more context on that?
I'm happy to. You know, people often ask us this question, how do you define family? How do you define family caregiver? I just wanted to be clear that we are looking at unpaid positions, not nurses or personal support workers, but we take a view of family that is very open. We take a chosen family model. So, you know, that could be however you define your family. And I think that's all I'll say. We have more information on the website, but we're not prescriptive in how people define family as long as it's an unpaid model, but providing care to a loved one that's part of their chosen family that may be experiencing a significant medical or psychological health issue or age-related condition. So, but more information is on the website.
Thank you.
Awesome. Another question, as a grateful partner of a national grant, would you expect the application to be different or the scope of a program to change if applying again?
I think as long as the program is still making a significant impact, it could still be the same, it could still be a different program, but ultimately we want to continue to see that family caregivers are getting the required support.
Great, and I think we only have a few more questions. Someone asked, we serve Atlantic Canada, so not national, but more than local. Can we apply to both streams?
Sorry, could you repeat that again?
We serve Atlantic Canada, so not national, but more than local. Can we apply to both streams?
Yes, so we would like to review that application. One of the biggest things for us is to be able to reach caregivers across the country. So we encourage you highly to still put in an application.
Awesome. Can we request funding for overhead or does it need to be project specific?
For our local grants, we do look at overheads as a significant support towards family caregiving. And just because we also recognize, did you want to say something, Lila?
Yeah, you're doing a great job, and I probably should have not indicated. I'm trying not to leap in because you're providing amazing answers. Everything that Ibukon just said about local grants is true, but we also acknowledge that for any organization that is delivering significant support to family caregivers, there is overhead built into all of those operations. So, we would like to see, especially for the national grants, a program or some support to family caregivers, but understanding that implicit in that ask is overhead costs, because you need people and resources to be able to deliver the program. So it's more art than science, but for local grants, we are a little bit freer in terms of how we define.
Okay, great. Would an early intervention therapy program that a registered charity runs be eligible for the local grant?
Yes, it would be eligible. Yeah, I think the question already says it's early intervention. So it's implying that there's going to be some support to family caregivers. So yeah, we look forward to reviewing an application like that.
Awesome. Could we use the national funding to start a respite program for the care recipients to participate in to give their caregivers a break, such as an adult day program?
Yes. I think respite care, family caregivers need that. It's a big need, and oftentimes it's not even the care, it's not by providing respite to the care recipient, but providing respite to the caregiver. So an adult day program would fit as long as it gives the caregiver some form of respite to either do other things that they would love to do. Is very impactful. So yes, that would qualify.
Great. Someone's asking, when does this round of applications close? I'm assuming the national grants.
Yeah, so I would just pull up the two slides again so we can all see for the national and local grants. So for the national grants, it's open from May 30th to the 11th of July, 6 weeks. And then we'll notify everyone of award by November 2025. And then for local grants, it's changed slightly in terms of notification. So the application period is from September 5 to October 17, and then we'll notify you of in February 2026. Usually we used to do that around January, but now it's going to be February 2026.
Awesome. Someone asked, how many organizations are awarded under both streams?
So for 2024, we did give out 21 national grants, and then for the local grants, we gave out 130. So yeah, this year we hope to. Leila, did you want to add something?
I did.
Yeah.
The national grants, we have a ceiling of $300,000. Not everybody will apply for the maximum, and I hope that people will apply really only for what their program requires. So you can't assume that we did 21 grants at $300,000. We look at the total funding that we believe we have available to allocate to national grants, and then we try to fit in all of the people that we think it's most important for us to fund in that year. So it's not like a fixed number at $300,000. There's a little bit of accounting that goes on to see what we can afford.
Good point, Leila.
Awesome. We received the local grant in 2022, but were not successful in 2023 or 2024. We have been unable to gain more information about why we were successful only once. We meet all of the criteria and our reporting was completed. Does a successful application reduce chances in future years?
No, actually, if you do look at our history, we've had repeat organizations. So there is no there is no hard and fast rule. So it doesn't mean that because you got an application, you got an award, you don't qualify automatically. We review each application that we get every year independent of what you have provided previously. So we try to make sure it's fair. It's just the other considerations that we take into place that may have not allowed you receive the grant for the period that you didn't get it.
Awesome. Another question, are there parameters around project start and end dates?
We're pretty flexible in terms of start and end dates. Oftentimes, we've seen that some organizations start the project even before they get the funding from us, and some do wait until they get the funding. The only guidance that we do give is that it happens within the given the award period. So if you were to get it, for instance, in February of 2025, we do expect that the project will be completed by your end of your financial period, which may be March of 2026. So that typically is like around the start and end dates.
Great. How many applications have we received in the local stream previously?
I don't have that number readily available.
I have a ballpark. I think for
Yeah.
local grants, we're very happy that our reach is increasing every year. I feel like we had over 400 applicants for local grants last year. And as Ibacon mentioned, we don't have, unfortunately, infinite resources. So we will be having to limit how many we can award based on the total funds available to us. And that's based on a number of factors, how much money we're able to fundraise, how many applications we receive every year. So we do our best with the money that we have available to us, but it's increasing, which is good. Unfortunately, more people will be disappointed.
Thank you, Leila. Our charity provides ongoing support to family caregivers. Does the program we apply for in 2025 have to be a new program, or can it be the same support program we have offered for years?
It can be the same. It doesn't have to be new. Depending on the needs of the family caregivers that you support, as long as you put that forward and you explain what the program is all about, we're open to reviewing either existing programs or new programs.
Another question, when are the results made public?
So for the national grants, it becomes available on in November after our board meeting. So this year will be November 2025. You'll get an email from us informing you of the outcome of your application. And then for the local grants, it would be February of 2026.
Awesome. Are kin caregivers considered caregivers in this context? This would be family members that take in children into their care so they do not end up in foster care.
I'm going to jump in on this one. I think it's an excellent question. Just to Ibacon's earlier point, though, when we're talking about family caregiving, we are talking about not parenting without the additional complications that go along with family caregiving. So that could be many things. It could be significant behavioral issues. It could be a medical issue. It could be a psychological issue. But taking in a child to prevent them from going into foster care without those additional significant medical or health challenges, I wouldn't consider that family caregiving in that way. We're not talking parenting, but we're talking about the additional complications that go along with the significant medical or psychological health challenge.
Awesome. Another question kind of similar to one earlier. If the national grants are increasing, does that mean the local grants will be decreasing? Obviously, there are higher/better outcomes for national grants.
Actually, both of them increase every year. We've been increasing both the national and the local.
Awesome. Is there an opportunity to chat with someone about unsuccessful applications from last year to make adjustments?
Chatting is always hard just because we're a very small team. This is pretty much the whole team you see on the screen, and then Uli, who is the lead fundraiser. But you can always send us an email and then we'll provide you with a response.
And I think someone has their hand up if we want to answer their question.
So I think the way the system is set up, can you speak? I just feel like you may not be able to unmute yourself.
Oh.
Yeah. Can you put your question in the chat box, please, if you can speak?
I guess we can wait for them to put their question in the chat. Got some other questions. Michelle, if you can't unmute, feel free to put your question in the chat. Is there some consideration for the rural versus urban areas in terms of reach?
So we do want to have a national reach as much as we can. So we do take into consideration some of those organizations from rural areas. We just highly encourage that you apply and you also spread the word. One of the things that we have noticed is we don't get enough applications from some areas. So if you could please spread the word, and if you could please put in an application, we would love to support family caregivers in rural areas.
Okay, another question. Are wages eligible for local grants?
Nila, do you want to take that one?
Sure. I think we covered this question already, but for local grants specifically, we understand that often you're providing frontline care, and so wages would be eligible as long as the wages are being used to actually provide that impact for family caregivers.
Thank
But
you.
yes, is a short answer.
Awesome. If someone was interested in becoming part of the grant review panel, how would you do so?
So the local grants, which is where we do have a grant review committee, is made up of our associates. So it's pretty much a closed process. It's not open to the general public, but our associates are the ones who are closer to the community. But we do provide them with some guidance around what we're looking for on family caregiving, but they really do the review of the local grants. So it's a little bit closed, I'm sorry.
Is it possible to request a review meeting of last year's application before this year's deadline?
Okay, I think we provided a response to a similar question. If you could please send us an email, we would review your application and provide you with an update.
And I think all the other questions we've previously touched on. So I think for the Q&A, that's about it.
Thank you so much, Ivana. Thank you to everyone who has joined the call today. I think I will hand over to Leila to close the session.
Yeah, thank you very much. Great session, great questions again, and I'm glad that we were able to provide some clarity on the types of things that we do and we don't do. I just wanted to remind folks again that we're doing our very best to raise as much money as we can so that we can give out more grants, both in the national and local streams. I would like to reiterate as well, and do send the email to us if you're looking for more information on why your grant was declined. But probably the short answer is that we just don't have enough money to fund everybody. So it's not to say that your project isn't worthy. It's not to say that your project, you shouldn't consider applying again. And we're really, really happy that we're able to work with so many wonderful organizations like yourself. And we look forward to seeing your applications this year. It's a very busy time, but a super fun time for Ivana and myself to start to look through all of the grant applications that we receive and then have the board review them. So thank you very much for participating today. And I think I'll leave it at that. But thanks again to Ivana, who did an excellent job of fielding all the questions, and to Ivana, as always, for your fantastic presentation.
Thank you, Leila. And with that, this session has come to an end.